16 kids in a 12 by 12 filthy room. I know y'all have got to have heard of this. This is the Ohio House of Horrors case that they've been calling it. There's so much out there, so much to cover, so much that is still breaking. So we don't know everything, I'm sure, that's coming out, or at least I hope everything that's coming out is not true. God bless, I hope not, because there's so many different turns, twists. Everything is still breaking because it's only been a couple weeks. But this is the Ohio case that I wanted to cover today. I've got some notes I want to go over, and there's just a lot. If you haven't heard of this, then tune in and listen, because this case is awful. So what happened basically, and I'm Nicole Grigg with Crime and Chaos Diaries. I haven't been on in a while. I just got busy with life. Been trying to get my life insurance license, and that has took up so much of my time. I'm still working on that. So gosh, pray for me that I can get that license. I've been trying. So I'm going to go again soon in the next weekend. So pray for me for that. But anyway, this is a passion of mine. I love doing crime issues, love digging into them. So I want to get back to this. So anyway, I do not know these people. I just do some research like anybody could do. So this is just what I'm looking at online. It's not anything legal. So I'm not a professional, and I'm just investigating it and bringing it to you guys. So what happened evidently is the police had showed up to this house on another evidently criminal case. Some was said it was because of the father had been charged with possibly indecent exposure, was what was said. Gary Sides Jr. And then I heard that may not have even been the case while they were there, the police, to serve papers or come out to the residence. So that is still unfolding. But anyway, the police showed up, and what they found in that home was horrific. So again, it's like a 12 by 12 room, 16 kids in this room. And this home, there's 20 people in all. So besides the 16 kids was the mom and dad, and then the paternal grandparents also were in there. In this home with one bathroom, one bedroom, and then this partial basement where those 16 kids were staying in. And one of the kids, actually, she's 18, but they still listed her as a child. They were saying that she may have some developmental delays, but then there's also been other reports that a lot of these children had social media, and that she had posted on social media before, and that she had a boyfriend, and he was saying she wasn't just, like mentally delayed. So it's all over the place. Also reports that these children had never really went to school, never listed as homeschooled, and they did move around in Ohio several places for several years. So it was hard to really latch on to any type of identification. They avoided that, but then had been at this home for maybe 4 or 5 years is the last I heard. But yeah, it was awful conditions. When the police had reported the conditions and they went live on TV, one even detective had said that livestock was living in better conditions than this home was that the children were living. So again, the warrant wasn't supposedly about the children's welfare. It was supposedly about this public indecency case on the father. And these children range from 18 months to 18 years old. there has been several reports that they don't, it's not been confirmed that they're saying this is all their children. These 16 children are the parents. They're saying that was their children, all 16 of them. But it basically, like, to go back, like, this is just so much twisted turns. She would have had to have been pregnant like almost every year for 20 years for her to give birth to all these. And there was reports of even having conjoined twins that did pass away. I believe there was hospital records of that. But then there's other reports that there may have been as many as 20 kids at one time. Another set of twins that might have. So it's just everywhere. It's going to be a while before we can find out really what happened, because just the other day, a gag order was approved for Gary Sides Jr. on 7/14. Basically about inflammatory public remarks about, for instance, the livestock that the police or detectives had said. That is one thing. And another gag order is supposed to be filed, or already has been filed, for Christina, but it hasn't been granted yet. So with Gary's, the father, his gag order, and then now Christina's possibly, it will be less even coming out in public now than we've already heard. So it's going to come to updates are going to slow way down for this case. And it also halt public media from doing this as well. So let's break it down of what we actually know. So when they found the 16 children, 7 of the children were taken to hospitals in Columbus. 2 were flown out by helicopter. And like I said before, none of them had been enrolled in school. No medical records have been found. No government paperwork. The family just moved around in multiple Ohio counties. So the 4 adults that were arrested is Gary Siders Jr., 36, his wife Elizabeth Siders, 33, Gary Siders Sr., 73, and Christina Siders, 66. So they were the paternal grandparents. All 4 were charged with 16 counts each of second-degree felony, child endangering, and so that's like 64 felony counts between them. They were arraigned on July 1st, each held on $300,000 bond. And all 4 pled not guilty at that time. The last I heard, all 4 had since waived their preliminary hearings, which means the case now will move to grand jury. There has been some talk that the grandmother, that she may have either some memory problems, if it's Alzheimer's or dementia, but there has been talk that she may have that. Don't know for sure, but I'm sure more will come to that eventually. So the uncomfortable part about this is that the Attorney General's office has mentioned that this may be an inter-family case. That a former county prosecutor who was interviewed about it said he generally never seen that word used before in this context, and it's possibly hinting at possible sexual relationships with the family itself, potentially the grandfather. Now, there has been family reports, I think an interview that was done of a cousin who says that is not true, that the kids are the families, not the grandfathers, not involved, that he didn't know anything about that. But also at the same time, the family hasn't had much contact with them. It has become less and less. And that's, nobody's been formally charged, so I'm just saying that was thrown out there, but it could have just been probably hearsay, and I don't know. we'll just have to wait until this unfolds more to find about this. So listen to now the mother, because her background story is also pretty gut-wrenching. Elizabeth married Gary Jr. in March of 2008 at a courthouse in Mason County, West Virginia. She was only 15 and she was 7 months pregnant at that time. Her parents consented to the marriage, which West Virginia allowed at that time. Her attorney says she left school after that and spent the rest of her life as a full-time mother. All 16 children are reportedly, as I've said before, biologically her and Gary's, Jr.'s. Her defense is now exploring whether she should be viewed less as a perpetrator or a victim herself. So there's been accounts, according to the family, that she came from a difficult home to begin with, and it was her escape to get married early as a teenager, which only ended up trapping her in a worse situation. The attorney described her as, with her arrest, that she was crying, she was exhausted, and wasn't even worried about her own release. She was so worried about the children. Court filings reference, going back to some of her births, her twins were born in 22, 24, and 25. So we only have confirmed details of one set. So we don't know if that's all true yet. But the one set was Bailey Lee and Faith Lee Siders. And they were born on the same day, November 20th, 22, at Riverside Methodist Hospital in Columbus. They were born at 24 weeks, conjoined at the chest and upper abdomen, sharing organs. They lived about 1 hour, was what it was said. So their cause of death was respiratory failure due to extreme prematurity. Prosecutors have not alleged any wrongdoing connected to their births or their deaths for this. But there has been open accounts about twins being born in 2020, 24 and 25. But, I mean, that's very close together, too. So I don't know anything about that current status. I don't even know if it's true. There's just so much going on that we'll have to wait and see what happens. And I'm wanting to follow this and was wanting to update as it comes along. But it looks like with these gag orders, we're not sure how much we're going to have. So Gary Siders, the grandfather, he had a medical situation and was sent to the hospital. The judge converted his $300,000 cash bond to a reconnaissance bond, meaning he's technically been released, though he's in the hospital, not free and clear, but he's just in the hospital in that medical condition. I haven't heard anything further about that. The county prosecutor said plainly that his medical care could, in his words, potentially bankrupt Benton County. So evidently he's got some serious issues there, which tells you something about how under-resourced that this county is to handle a case of this scale. There's just so much. I had also heard counts from that I guess they went to a local Dollar General, the police, investigators, and they spoke to a lady who had told them that the Gary Jr. and Christina would come into the store almost every night, and it would always be really pretty late, close to closing time, and they would pick up the same thing every time. They'd be with two young kids. Their hair would be like in their face. They would all of them smell. They, as she said, after they left, there was a terrible smell that they'd always have to spray and clean. And they always bought the same thing, like vegetable oil and water. And there's where the strangeness comes in for that. What were they doing if they had to buy some vegetable oil every time and water? Now, some people are saying they might have diluted that and fed the kids vegetable oil. I don't know. I'm hoping not. But I mean, I don't know what they were doing with this vegetable oil. I don't know if this is true, but this has been reported. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But gosh, I just hope not. Also reports of black mold in the home, and which could have caused some serious, health issues for a lot of them. So what is your opinion on what you've heard so far? I'm curious as this unfolds. I don't know how long it's going to take with these gag orders, but I'm curious to find out what all is true. I mean, 16 kids. I don't know. I'm just curious to find if they're all hers and Gary's, and how much she had to do with this, Christina, and the grandparents. It is a sad situation, and I hope a lot of this isn't, but I'm curious to find out as it unfolds what is going on. I'm going to try to keep track of this, but with these gag orders, I don't know how much I'll be able to track because there's going to be a lot shut down, so it may be a while before we even find out much about this case with them. So we'll wait and see. Let me know what you think about this case. And I'm glad to get back into my Crime and Chaos Diaries. I hope to do more soon. It's just jumping back in here and getting this started again. Thank you for watching, and we'll see how this goes. And you have a great weekend. Thank you.